Hey, craft makers and test takers. And go. Hey everybody, my name is Jon and welcome to ADITW, a day in the Word, the internet's favorite Bible study. Today, we go to the mountains. As today we dive into Jesus teaching the Sermon on the Mount. Now this is the first recorded sermon that Jesus gives in the Gospels. And it spans over 3 whole chapters, and he talks about 54,000 different topics. That's an exact number. And today we're gonna tackle just one of them from chapter 5. Maybe sometime in the future we'll do an entire day in the Word just on the Sermon on the Mount. Fun! But today we're going to be studying verses 1 through 12. Read them now. So here we have the infamous Blesseds, the Beatitudes, where Jesus is talking about who is blessed, who is adored, who is exalted in the eyes of God. And many of us are probably familiar with this list. However, today it is my mission to point out 3 things that maybe you didn't catch before. These things are all very simple, and yet I think they're all very profound, and they can help us to deeper understand the person and the heart of Jesus. Number 1 is that Jesus starts his preaching with encouragement. He doesn't start this giant sermon by telling us all the rules. He doesn't start by shaming us for being sinners. He starts by telling us who is blessed, who is highly favored. I think more preachers could learn from Jesus' example here. Instead of starting with, here are all the bad things that you are, why not start with, here are the type of people that God blesses. Now, how do we become those types of people? The second thing I want us to notice is that each and every one of these blessings applies to a person who is in a weak, vulnerable, or humble position. The poor in spirit, those who mourn, the meek. And this doesn't really make sense, right? Because it's supposed to be the strong in spirit, the mighty, the righteous. Those are the people who are blessed. But Jesus begins this entire sermon with a totally counterintuitive, countercultural truth that says, blessed are you when you are weak, because God is strong. That's encouraging for somebody today. And lastly, I want us to notice that each and every one of these blessed attributes is something that applies to Jesus himself at one point or another. Jesus is pure in heart. He is merciful. At times in the gospel, he mourns for the loss of his friends. And he certainly was persecuted. I bet that many of us have probably read Paul's command to the Ephesians to be imitators of God. And the Sermon on the Mount starts by telling us essentially that we are blessed when we seek to imitate Jesus. Blessed are you when you show mercy the way he showed mercy. Blessed are you when you seek to bring peace the way he brought peace. Blessed are you when you choose to take the humble position that Jesus took. The world may not bless you. That's made abundantly clear. But in the eyes of God, you are blessed. Now, how does this change the way we live our lives? Obviously, this doesn't mean that we seek out weakness, or we try and be poor in spirit, or we try to be persecuted. But it does mean that we can take heart, that we can find courage in those moments where we are being persecuted, or when we are feeling weak. Because in those moments, we can know, because Jesus said it at the beginning of his very first sermon, in those moments when we're weak, in those moments when we find ourselves in a vulnerable, humble position, that right there is when we are blessed. Thank you all for watching another episode of ADITW. I hope you all were blessed by it. As always, comment down below and let me know your thoughts on these Beatitudes. Also, let me know, would you like to see me going through the entire Sermon on the Mount in a future Day in the Word series? I would like to know if you would like to see that. Last but certainly not least, we have some business to take care of. I love you all. Keep being awesome.